This is how a missile defense system is supposed to work. A radar detects a single incoming ballistic missile. The system calculates its trajectory. An interceptor is launched. Everything happens exactly as designed. The interceptor climbs, accelerates, meets the incoming missile in its terminal phase, and destroys it. Threat neutralized. Simple, clean, predictable. That is the scenario systems like Patriot, THAAD, and Arrow 3 were built for. One missile in, one interceptor out, one threat eliminated. And even if that interceptor costs between $3 and $6 million, it's justified. Because it protects a base, a city, a strategic asset. But now imagine something different. Imagine that in the final 30 seconds of flight, that one missile is no longer one. It becomes 20. At around 100 kilometers of altitude, the missile opens and releases multiple submunitions. Suddenly, you're no longer tracking a single object. You are tracking 20 independent threats, each with its own trajectory, each heading toward the ground, each targeting a different point within an area that can reach up to 50 square kilometers. And here is the problem. The interceptor that destroyed the main missile only destroyed the container, not what was inside it. Those submunitions are already in the air, still falling, still lethal, and now the system has less than 15 seconds to react, not to one threat, but to 20. That is not a hypothetical scenario. That is exactly what Israel confirmed on March 5th, 2026, Iran is now doing. And what you are looking at here is one of the most significant technical innovations introduced in this conflict. One that Western defense analysts are studying with far more urgency than they publicly admit. Because to understand what this really means, you have to go back to the fundamentals. Modern missile defense systems are built on a simple assumption. A ballistic missile follows a predictable trajectory. It launches, rises along a parabolic path, reaches peak altitude, and then descends toward its target. That predictability is everything. Because if you can calculate where the missile will be in 15 seconds, you can send an interceptor to that exact point and destroy it. That is the entire logic behind Patriot, THAAD, and Arrow 3. Detection, prediction, interception, collision, success, and it works. Decades of development, hundreds of billions invested, and real-world data from Iraq, Hezbollah, Yemen, and recent Iranian strikes prove that it works, but there is a condition. It works best when it faces what it was designed to face. One object, one trajectory, one intercept point. What Iran introduced in March 2026 breaks that logic completely. This is not just a missile, it is a container, a system designed to multiply itself mid-flight, turning one problem into many at the worst possible moment. Because by the time these submunitions are released, high-altitude interceptors like THAAD and Arrow 3 have already done their job or missed their window. And now, what is left is a system like Patriot operating in the terminal phase with seconds to decide, seconds to act. Now let's talk about the missile itself, because this is where things get even more serious. According to multiple reports in early March 2026, Iran has been deploying ballistic missiles equipped with cluster-type warheads. Israel recovered fragments from unexploded submunitions and confirmed that the dispersion system was not improvised. It was sophisticated, engineered, and consistent with a modified medium-range ballistic missile. And one name keeps coming up in those analyses: Khorramshahr-4, also known as Kibar. This missile has a range of around 2,000 kilometers, enough to reach any point in Israel. But that is not the key detail. The key detail is its payload capacity, up to 1,500 kilograms. That is what makes this possible. That is what allows it to carry a dispersible warhead with multiple submunitions inside, each one capable of inflicting damage on its own. Now we get to the numbers, because this is where the imbalance becomes obvious. A single cluster warhead can release anywhere between 20 to 100 submunitions spreading across a radius of several kilometers. Each submunition can destroy light vehicles, damage infrastructure, and kill or injure personnel within a 15 to 30 meter radius. Now imagine a military base, aircraft on the ground, fuel trucks, radar systems, runways. A single missile can hit all of them at once. A traditional warhead concentrates its energy in one point. If it misses slightly, the damage is limited, but a dispersible warhead does not need precision. It needs coverage. And that changes everything, because now the economics shift dramatically. If one missile costing around $1 million can create the same level of damage as 15 to 20 conventional missiles, then the cost advantage becomes overwhelming. 15 to 1, 20 to 1. And the defense system does not just have to stop one threat anymore. It has to stop the missile before it opens, because once it does, it is already too late. The submunitions are too small, too numerous, and too fast. There is no realistic way to intercept them all in real time. And this is where things move from technical to strategic. Cluster munitions are controversial for a reason. A percentage of them, between 2 and 10%, fail to detonate on impact. They remain on the ground as unexploded ordnance. Days, weeks, even years later, they can still kill. Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam still deal with this decades after the war. And here is the reality. Iran is not a signatory to the Oslo Convention. The United States is not. Russia is not. Which means in this conflict, there are no legal constraints preventing their use. Now add another layer. Some analysts believe the dispersion technology shows similarities to systems used by Russia in Ukraine. If that connection is confirmed, this is no longer just an Iranian device. It becomes a sign of deeper technological cooperation. And that matters not just for this war, but for what comes next. Because this is not happening in isolation. This new capability is part of a much larger system. Iran's missile arsenal spans everything from short-range rockets to medium-range ballistic missiles to hypersonic glide vehicles. The Fatah 2, reportedly operating at speeds between Mach 15 and Mach 17, can reach its target in minutes, which means defense systems are already under pressure, and now they are being forced to deal with something else, something they were not designed for. Multiple simultaneous problems. One system cannot handle hypersonic threats, low-altitude submunitions, and saturation attacks all at once. And that is the point. Iran is not just building missiles, it is building complexity, forcing its adversaries to solve multiple defense challenges, at the same time with systems designed to solve them one at a time. And if you look at what happened in early March 2026, a pattern begins to emerge. Early warning radar systems degraded, mid-course interception capabilities reduced, Patriot systems under pressure, and then cluster warheads introduced. In that exact order. That is not random. That is doctrine, a systematic degradation of defenses followed by a capability that exploits the weakened layer. And if that reading is correct, then this is not just a new missile. It is the result of a long-term strategic program designed to be used at the exact moment when defenses are most vulnerable. And that raises the real question, not what this missile can do today, but what comes next. Because if this becomes the standard, every country watching this conflict is learning. China is watching. North Korea is watching. Every actor with a ballistic program is taking notes. And once this spreads, the problem does not stay in one region. It becomes global. So this is not just about one innovation. It is about a shift in how missile warfare is evolving. And right now, we are watching it happen in real time.